I deserve a minute, wait a minute. Gotta get up and over, regain my composure. No longer my lover, finally finished and you did it. Girl, you really showed me, think with your heart, don't think with your body, clever. Sorry not, sorry not, Justin Timberlake, write me a river. Lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to.
You got to go off eventually. One is the window. And so let it feel right. You're 19 yet. Yeah. Well, that really is fun. And it's on the opposite side. Because the daylight, depending on the front that you see it still. With the glass window. But in the next hour or so, you're going to feel it.
Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a
easy thing that
I'll be having conversations.
Still playing from anybody else or whatever.
I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red.
You know, things are difficult for me. Universal life.
I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to.
Okay.
Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead.
Yes, greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Topics on Real Entertainment Network. It's a pleasure to be here with my wonderful people of Oli, Layamiga, and the rest of the entire Caribbean region and the globe. All those who are locked in, as you log in, please remember to share, or if you log in on YouTube, remember to subscribe and like and share the topics. Tonight, again, we have Ras Banky Shabazz of Shabazz Organics as our co-host, and we will be getting into another edition of the topics. So we just want to say good evening to everyone and welcome. Banky, just give you opportunity to give your introductory statements and then we get rolling into the topics.
Yes, greetings to all those listening to the sound of my voice. It's another Tuesday evening. Yes, son, thanks for having me again. I mean, we really enjoy discussions, that you bring forth to the general public that is within regional, local, and international. So let me say good evening to the sound, to those listening here on the island of Oli and the neighboring island, sister island, Layamiga, which is St. Kitts and Nevis, the native word. It's important we keep those names going and sound it at the same time, get the name back on our passport, travel documents, and just on whatever seal there is, just put, keep things original because it's very important. Otherwise, these things will just fade away eventually. So saying good evening to the people in Sabre, Statia, St. Martin, Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, Bermuda, also the folks over in the BVIs and the U.S. Virgin Islands, also the folks over in Montserrat, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Dominica, wherever you are throughout the Caribbean and listening to the show. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Also the folks over in the diaspora, North America, all up to Canada, come down to Boston, all over to the Florida Keys, Texas. Still winter time over in Chicago and in the US and stuff like that. So still greatly appreciate you guys tuning in, and the folks over in Europe. And the time zone is totally different in those places. So sometimes it's late, early in the morning, and you guys still find the time to stay up, and we'll still have to get up and go to work and stuff like that. So we don't take these things for granted. So we really appreciate you guys who are in the different time zone listening to what we have to say. So it shows that you have some confidence in us with the material we bring and the information we bring forth, which is very credited. So we really appreciate that you all have that confidence in us, Jason and myself. So we just want to say good evening, good afternoon, whichever is appropriate, and thanks for tuning in. And also remember to share the link and let everyone know the topics. And we're here, and also we have a lot to discuss this evening, as Jason said. So good evening, Jason.
Yes, Banky, and yes, my wonderful audience and wonderful people here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And well, we've got a couple of things that I've got a couple of things on my plate. A couple of things that I would, like to bring to the table. And I guess Banky would have a couple of things that he would want to weigh in on, and we would, exchange and share our views and opinions. And we are also looking forward to your views and opinions too, our listeners. So, we are going to be looking forward to your calls. You can give us a call on WhatsApp.
My phone in nobody right now. My phone had the issues right now. The mother must start out to switch over because I had no phone for the day, so I have to get the next
Okay, no
phone. So
problem.
that's starting out.
Okay, so I'll drop in. Let me see if I could drop in the WhatsApp number, but I'll mention it anyway. It's 1-559-541-2758. Let's see if we could type it in here. The number to call. Okay, yes. So anyway, though, but we will be looking. One of the things that we do here, we do pay attention to the Facebook wall, and so most of you who make your comments, we do. This is one of the platforms that do pay attention to the messages um, on the platform, and we seek to respond. So you can message us if you've got, a topic that you want to um, put on the table as well, and we could seek to address that because we do want to, show you that we appreciate your presence and your participation, and um, also when you call in. So I would have just added the number. So in case it's only on WhatsApp though, it's basically a WhatsApp number. So you can only get it on WhatsApp at this point. But if you want to participate via call, that's the number to call in. Okay. So we are about to get rolling. Now the first topic that I want to jump off, we're gonna be flying a little bit um this evening, I don't know if it's um here Nigeria we're gonna be flying on because I understand that Nigeria and Jamaica is actually making some connections right now in terms of having direct flights out of um out of between Nigeria and Jamaica, which is very, very good. I would have heard also um the Prime Minister out of Grenada also made that suggestion because he had a visit from one of the top um, billionaires in Africa at this point, who is into oil refinery. And in a previous edition of the topics, we would have highlighted the fact that Grenada would have discovered oil and have opted to use Nigeria and Russia to help them in terms of extracting and transporting and refining the oil. And so when the Nigerian brother, who is the big man for the conglomerate, came to visit the prime minister, he came on his private jet and he was saying that it was just 9 hours direct from where he was to Grenada. And so when we consider the fact that to get to, Africa, most African states, we either have to go through Canada, America, or some of the European territories to go all the way around when, geographically it makes more sense for us to really develop these links. But that puts us, that puts another, issue, I mean, on the table. And I guess as we speak of Nigeria, I guess we could come back home as well, because at present, the Prime Minister and the Premier, along with the delegation, is presently in Nigeria. And based on the reports, they are seeking to try to develop a bridge that gap between um, Africa and the Caribbean, and see if they could create more trade and business and investment and so on. Something that we should have been doing a very long time, and people would say, "Oh well, you're complaining for everything. You say, it should have been done a long time, but they're doing it now. So I accept that they're doing it now. Okay, yes, we're accepting that they're doing it now, even though it was forced to some extent, we accept that they're doing it now, right? But the flight I was gonna take, even though we got into all of that, I just used the opportunity to speak to that. The flight I was gonna take is a flight to Wadadli, Antigua, actually, where reports are that the Prime Minister of Antigua would have donated or granted the Rastafari community excavator, an excavator, and a number of other vital farm equipment. This may go noticed by many, but it speaks volumes, and it is something that I am opting to bring on the table, because for a number of years, and especially the fact that Antigua also is moving forward with their cannabis industry, for a number of years, Rastafari would have been persecuted, ridiculed, imprisoned, killed, mimicked. I mean, brought down to the lowest degree. And I think that this is a very good look in terms of some efforts, in terms of reparations to some extent, for a lot of the injustices that was meted out to a group of people who just, even up to this day, all they were seeking to do is to empower their people, to empower themselves so that they can be sustainable in this world, live and create their own sustainable communities, and don't have to be dependent on no system that was never truly designed for their benefit. So, when you look at today that a prime minister, after all this fight, could now be able to stand up and say, yes, we are donating this to the Rastafari community. And I don't know if this is mentioned that is a part of the of reparations, so to speak, but this issue of reparations, especially when it comes to Rastafari and the injustices that was meted out as a result of cannabis, because people must understand that in a lot of the cases, that was the only reason that they used to ostracize Rastafari in the community, because Rastafari never was involved with anything else, no robbery and no stealing and no gambling and no nothing. Rastafari lived a righteous life. The only thing they used to demonize us was to say that we are associated with cannabis, and they criminalized cannabis, and thus, seeing that we are and were associated with cannabis, then we were deemed the criminals. So that's where the criminal mindset came in. So it was all, a brainwash. And so, just like cannabis, even though today cannabis is legal, not legal totally on St. Kitts and Nevis and in the region, but let's say decriminalized. Just use the term that they're using. Cannabis is decriminalized. Many, because of the brainwash, because of all that would have been done to ridicule and persecute people as a result of using cannabis, even though it is free now, a lot of people are still afraid to associate with it and still dealing with the plant as if like, something is so wrong with it. And it is the same way. Even though we may find in our societies and in our communities that Rastafaris are a little bit more accepted in society because, you find them working in certain places that they never used to work before and so on. There's still that negative stigma that is attached to Rastafari the same way that negative stigma is attached to cannabis, even though, that mentality has changed. And some reparations need to be done, and that is why I'm saying too, in regards to the cannabis side of it, a lot more need to be done in terms of freeing up cannabis for Rastafari, and that limitation we're talking about, they could use it amongst themselves, but exempt from the business and profiting from business unless they come under some religious organization or cooperative and so on. I mean, I respect the cooperative and I'm not trying to discredit that and not encourage Rastafari to form cooperatives because, as a matter of fact, in this case, it is a Rastafari cooperative group that the excavator and the tools were donated to in Antigua. However, based on all of the persecutions that Rastafari would have gotten, the lockup, so many of them, you know what I mean, you go in school and your children are ridiculed and traumatized because people saying your daddy a jailbird. Because what? Your daddy been a smoke a little cannabis and you get locked up. And back in the day that's a big thing, you get locked up. So you try to go to school and daddy a criminal because daddy was using some cannabis. So for all of this, that reparatory justice, as a part of reparatory justice for the atrocities that were meted out to Rastafari as a result of cannabis. This is a good move. And I am saying this and in hopes that we could see more like this, even in St. Kitts and Nevis, especially where, for example, the leader on St. Kitts and Nevis, well, at least the Prime Minister, is a son of Rastafari. So we would want to expect even more so because we don't know. I know from what I know, Gaston Bone, I think, come from a very prominent Rastafari community. If his parents were connected to Rastafari in that way, I cannot substantiate that at this point. But in terms of the Prime Minister and St. Kitts, I can substantiate that he is the son of a Rastafari. And so we would want to expect more in terms of protecting and looking out for the rights of Rastafari and empowering Rastafari in any way, shape, or form. So, Banky, that is something that I wish to put on the table up front, that I am really happy for the Rastafari community and hope that, many more such gifts and other organizations and institutions, even outside of government, can do likewise and seek to empower Rastafari in such ways. Your
Yes, and
2 cents on that one.
well, one of the main thing the Rastafarians and the Rastafari groups always instill is self-sustainability, growing your own food, having your own water. Because once you have those things, it means you can survive and you can trade. Because it's just simple. It's just simple common sense, If you're gonna fight against any type of system or whatever it is that you're trying to not to be a part of, well, how are you gonna survive without eating? It's just common sense. So, and plus we have the environment within the Caribbean where you can grow food all year round. So in Antigua, what the Prime Minister have done is the people's resources. So it's not like you're doing them any favor. It's the right thing he have done. You put workers there who you think would do the right thing within the community to work for the people. Cause you give them the job to do these things. So other groups, the same who is focusing on farming and have that interest in farming should get the same help also. Because the reality, if you look at the example, you see these prime ministers throughout the Caribbean, they're not speaking about Burkina Faso and what the gentleman there is doing. You understand? It's because it's a military takeover and they ain't gonna support it because it's like they're supporting military takeover because they're protecting themselves. But what the guy have said the president is free housing, free healthcare. We can because we can do the same thing because we have the resources, but we're taking our resources and not investing in our people. We're taking social security money, building houses for our people, and then charging them again with high interest, lot of years, and it's their money. So this didn't make any sense. So we cutting our people. So just what the gentleman there is doing is opening the eyes of the people because that was supposed. You hear me speak about these things all the time. If anybody want to go to college, the government will send them to whatever school they want to go to. They serve, when they don't, they serve the country. What is hard in these things? You're not doing nobody no favor. You're taxing us morning, noon, and night. So the Antigua government have done the right thing because these people gonna produce food in the community, help to bring down in a safe, bring down the food import bill. They're gonna grow cannabis at the same time. And once you have a piece of machinery, a machinery costs a couple of $100,000. So it shows that for for the prime minister to see the interest that they're doing to take up the taxpayers' money and do and make this investment, and the people of Antigua is not making any noise about it and support this initiative. It speaks a lot because when stuff like this has been done, usually general public will have if they have a problem with it. But because these guys are producing and they know they're getting food from it and they're going to be benefiting out of it because food and water is a big issue. Right now, it's already start getting dry, more or less, as you can say, because it's in March coming into April, May, the dry season coming up. You see what I mean? Well, which in yes, it's our dry season at the same time we have water, so we should still continue to plant all year round. But most time, most farmers would not plant within these times. They would plant with more in the rainy season unless you have a different farming system where you can use less water. But what Mr. Brown have done, he must be commended for that. And these things should be. It's just like here, you have food security going on for the 2025, but we move now to 2030. Not even the regular farmers in Nevis getting help, assistance from the government. In Sink, it's just neighboring islands getting so much resources. You see what I mean? So you know how our excavator gonna help these guys to clean as much land as possible. And a card them a clean, them a plant and do all these trenches. So they're really cutting a lot of costs by having their own equipment. You see what I mean? So equipment making it
Well,
much easier for them to produce more food and all this different stuff.
well,
Yeah, go
Banky,
ahead, yes,
you
sir.
know, I had a Zoom call earlier on. I was on a podcast, and the topic was, um, the use of cooperatives and how they incentivize farmers. And um, I, you know, I and that was one of the topics that came up as well as one of the benefits of having cooperatives. Being able to pool your resources together and get, whether equipment or machinery that would be beneficial to all of the members or all of the other, folks in the cooperatives. So I want to, while we're on that, I guess also take the opportunity to encourage folks, because a part of the discussion, one of the things I highlighted was the fact that in our region, a lot of us still have that crab in a barrel mentality, um, instead of really having that unity and working together. So we don't have that mindset to develop corporations. If you look at our business structure, it's mostly sole proprietor businesses. You have the legendary like TDC and Hasfords and so on. But apart from those, you don't see much companies or corporations within our business structure. And I want to encourage us as a people and well as a people, and I want to also encourage farmers to begin to, if you're not a part of a cooperative, join one or seek to develop one then. If you don't want to be a part of any that's there already, and you want to develop, but set up cooperatives. They are very important, and you should take the time out and learn a little bit more about the benefits of cooperatives and make use of them. Now, for the Rastafari community specifically, and St. Kitts and Nevis, I want to suggest that the ORU, Organization of Rastafari Unity, begin to do a little bit more PRO and make them a bit more present, even if they need to set up a Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, get somebody, one of the young children or something to manage it or manage them, and put information out and so on, and so that you could begin to organize and seek to get more of the Rastafari organizations to represent under the umbrella and strengthen the umbrella, so that then you could make such moves towards the government and see if that approach may work. Because like I said, I don't know exactly what approach was made in Antigua. From what I gather, it was the Nyabingi Theocracy Order group, and I don't know if that has any connections with any other groups, but that structure is necessary, and having a cooperative and having combined houses or combined groups of Rastafari under one platform has a lot of benefits and advantages, not just in the agricultural space, but also too based on how the regulations are set up for the cannabis industry as well. So I'm taking the opportunity to pitch it and put it out there that Rastafari need to set themselves and begin to organize, as Marcus Garvey said, organize and centralize. So that has to be part. That's a part of our motto. So let's really begin to do that, and then agitate now. Then you could really now make your presentation to the Prime Minister and say, well, we want this kind of support, and this is what's going on, and it is not just 10 Rastafari, but we represent a wide cross section of the Rastafari community, and we could show that we represent this house, that house, and so that's just my little 2 cents in regards to the Rastafari community. Now, since I got the platform, the Tony Weber say, if you find yourself in a position of influence, every time you use it, use your conscience. And so I find myself on the platform here as Rastafari also. So let me also put it out there that this is what I suggest and hope that the Rastafari community and St. Kitts and Nevis could begin to do, so that we could see some more such results. And I hope that too, even just that act in itself, be some inspiration for the Rastafari communities and St. Kitts and Nevis to begin to gather up themselves and organize themselves. So that's a real powerful move, and I definitely respect that move. Back on the home scene, we should have well, we will have in the next couple of days the Agri Expo. I guess folks are going to be looking forward to that event, Nevis Agricultural Expo. However, usually 1 month after, we would have the Agricultural Expo on St. Kitts. That is being postponed, and we would get some more information in regards to that at a later date. I guess the officials would um, provide whatever necessary information in regards to, the reason or rationales for postponing the event and all that, right? But I know folks and everybody registered. I think the deadline would have passed for registration, and I think it's now just people looking forward for the days. This is what the next 2 days is what Thursday, Friday, or
Thursday and Friday. Thursday and
Thursday and
Friday. Thursday
Friday.
and Friday. Yeah, 27th and 28th.
So I guess when we're doing the show Friday night, people might still be out there milling around and so on.
You can Friday finish 12 o'clock. Can you have different entertainment, and then Thursday finish 10. So Friday you usually go till midnight.
Yeah, well, I want to encourage, the folks on Nevis to go on out and support the farmers and the various stalls and, see a lot of what's taking place. I want to really encourage more so the young people, the school children. I know, things might be tough right now in a lot of the schools. It's tough. In a lot of cases, they have to support themselves. Um, these are some serious issues again, Banky. Education, I find we talk about education and we boast about um, being 90+% literate and so on. And then when you go down into the nitty gritties and so on, basic things that the schools need, the schools that get sponsored and be out there begging and, it is really sometimes embarrassing. And I could speak from experience because I was in the system, so I know how it is, you know. But that is that is that. But education, we really have to, pay some serious attention to that and to respecting and acknowledging a lot of our teachers. I don't think teachers get enough respect in our society. Yes, sometimes, they would name some schools for one of them and so on and things like that. But I find that are just level out in our societies, nobody really um remember them only maybe when they do pass, you get to hear all of these stories, come back up with teacher this and that. So that's something that I think we really should zoom in and you know um pay a little bit of attention to.
Well, yeah, so something that always amazed me when time is budget, and you go back to the schools, and then why each of the schools should have even their own garden because of the importance of them having a kitchen, but yet they spend so much money outsourcing the food from a lot of these that is imported. But is the same thing when it comes to the rest of the schools? So if there is not a budget for the schools, then so when education a budget is put in place, so where the money go to? Me not understand because each school should be loaned some 100,000 or whatever it is for 200,000 or 500,000 or whatever it is, $1 million, because they have to find money for sports day, they have to find money to travel, go places, and all this different stuff. So when education make a budget and have all these schools on the island, how the budget is done? I don't get it. Cause then the schools are a beg, and that is not good. They are always begging, can I get the money? Then I got this, then I get that. You see what I mean? And then it's just more upon the teachers on them. More work. And work is like right now is exams. And in our time we're doing SBS, the teachers will come and we do the practical, whatever it is, and we're gonna do it right up. Not knowing these children nowadays, they now under the SBAs, and then now pressure is put on the teachers them now for them to do the SBA for the students, and then well me not understand that. Well, how these students I get so much of babysitting, and then every time we have to go to the library, go fight for one book. You see what I mean? 10 of us are on each other, she and wanna read and wanna make notes and all kind of different vibes. and these got everything at the fingertip, a computer in their hand as a phone, and still not do them work. Me not accept no failures from the children of mine, virgin. Because they're gonna water your head. You see what I mean? They're gonna outside kitchen, they're gonna outside bathroom, then have to walk out of school and go back to and come home, eat and go back to school and all the things they don't have none of them things to worry about. So therefore, you have no reason to be failing. You see, so it's either me ask to mute them one thing, It's either me going to school and I can go work. I mean, I probably going to school, so I can go work. So I made to pay the bills. Because if you are an adult that will be responsible, so me not a problem in going to school. So if I want to be the adult, go work and pay the bills and let me go to school and begin not do it, but come home and eat and then go to school. Okay, so easy thing is, right? And then you have money in your pocket. Because that is reality. So you really got to, the schools them is doing a lot. The teachers them really need a lot more looking after. They should be getting double. From going to teaching, a teacher, what is just start, when they have your degree and yes or not, you should not be paid under $3,500. From you start to teach, when you don't get whatever qualification and training, then your money almost doubled. And that's it. Because them is who going to make the scientists and the farmers and the construction workers and the astronauts and all this different stuff and engineers. Because that's where you start from preschool, come right up, but you got to also teach them about finance and working for themselves also and not conditioning them to work for nobody until they're in the 60s and 70s. You can't just be teaching people one way, just training them one way, just to be workers for somebody else and not training them to be working for themselves. You see what I mean? You can't manage your own affairs as an adult. That's what they're telling you. You ought to be dependent on somebody to give you something till the rest of your life or whatever and all this craziness. So it's depending on how you're teaching people. Yes.
That is how the education system that we continue to perpetuate after all these years is designed. Our education system is what is considered to be general education. And general education is education that aids you to function within a system that has already been designed for you. So you don't really need to know nothing. It's like you just need to know to come out and what you need to know to function in this type of system. This Westminster governance structure where you would either be a clerk, you're gonna be a teacher, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna fit in some one of the civil service or some one of the system and work your way up the rank. That is what the education system is catered for.
Virgin,
When you look at
we are not designed to be here to work for all our life. That life is not about that. Somebody can us. You understand? We are like a robot, That's what the other people. You're not designed for that. You just live your whole life and walk. That's funny to me.
That's craziness. That's the system that we inherited. You must remember, Banky, you're coming from a system where you were not even allowed to read or write. Your job was just to function within the structure to keep the machine going. You were forced to, and that's why I said the education now is just to aid you to function effective now. Okay, now just what you need to know. Like Capleton said, it's not university, is you never see. That they only teach you what you want, what they want you to know. Right? And so that's the reality.
Of course.
Education is selective when you really stop and think about it. And that is why, I am not knocking the general education in the sense because it helps you to understand a lot of things. It gives you like a little basic of opening doors to a lot of different things. But when you stop and you analyze it, as educated as the Prime Minister is, whoever people may look up to as whatever, give them a boat and an engine and some fish pot and tell them go, they're going to make life. And I'm telling you, unless the person they had the experience when they were smaller, that person is a dummy to that. Give them a plan for a house and tell them, go build a house there. They are dummies to that. So the point I'm making is
But these,
education is
but these
selective.
are the things, but these are the things that is looked down on in our society.
But I'm
These
pointing out that
professions, these
education is
trades.
selective. Yeah,
Yes,
but all I'm pointing out is that you might be well educated and you could come and give me some nice fancy speech and you could be a nice lawyer and win a case for me. But now we go fishing. Now we go build the house and the toilet mash up. What you need to do to fix that?
of course.
And we see that as educated as you are, you're very ignorant to that.
Mm-hmm.
Your phone stop working, you need it fixed, you take it to the technician, 10, 20 minutes, you don't go in, do bam, 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 tell you, okay, this was the problem, but you dummy to that, you would have never figured that out. But that's the point. So the system, though, like I said, was designed for us to just have that general education and keep us where they want us. And that is why, as you said, Banky, these people are conning us because those who continue to perpetuate the system know how the system is designed, know that the
Of
system was
course.
never designed for the people to benefit. 'Cause look at what you're talking about here. They know that we would have went through how much ever years of enslavement. They know that even after emancipation and the lands were free, you had to work an extra 4 years for free before you could say you get your freedom, even though you're already free. And then these people now become custodians of these lands. And instead of seeking to empower the people to utilize the land and make sure everybody get a piece of land, for me, I believe everybody in St. Kitts and Nevis should get a piece of land.
Of
Free.
course. Of course.
Not
Is
even tell me
this?
about me sell it cheap. You understand? Because
Yes.
your foreparents done slave for it, they done work for it. So when you look at what these people can really do to empower the people, which is what the people hire them to do again, because that's the reality. As you say, it's our taxes they're using. So when they come and try to make us feel like they're doing us a favor, they ain't doing us no favor. If you build a house or you build a school, that is what you're supposed to do. If you fix a road, I mean, I look, and this is what I'm saying. This is why, Banky, it is critical that we do this kind of re-education and speak it from this perspective so that the youths them could really begin to think differently and begin to look at it from a different
Okay.
perspective. Because, Banky, hold
Mm-hmm.
on. I just want to bring in this part here. When we look at just the other day, this became a big news item that some company donated, whether it's 1,000 desks or 1,000 chairs, to the school system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my thing is, I am not knocking the donation. I do welcome anything that anybody is giving to St. Kitts and Nevis for the benefit of St. Kitts and Nevis. But my thing is, that shouldn't be something that you boast in. In reality, your responsibility is to make sure that the schools them have these things, and if they don't have these things, you shouldn't be boasting that you have to beg and somebody glad that somebody give you something when it is your responsibility. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand how a politician could come and want me to vote for them or seeking to make me feel like, well, okay, I'm doing something wonderful because you fix a road. But that is what we put you there to do. So I mean, you ain't doing nothing extraordinary, and you're doing it with our taxes anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
why should I really? Why should I use that as a yardstick to put you back in power?
Because
You see what I'm
those are the
saying?
only set of people.
So
Because those are the only set of people who boast of the things they do of the work that they do. And that is what they're supposed to. Because not the resources is being used, and it goes back again over to Burkina Faso. Over 2,000 tractors, controlling your own goal, refining it, employing your people to the factories for producing your own tomatoes and different value-added products and stuff like that. Free housing, yeah, free house. Just like how Gaddafi You understand? What was all about the same way. You understand? For education, this is what other so-called democracy countries don't want. Mind democracy, but you know want the people to get these few things. You want to just keep them under bondage. Pay. And yet you not provide jobs for them. You're increasing taxes all the time. Have the resources. Can you remember, we into real estate, we into selling passport, now we into real estate. And who into real estate? Lawyers, surveyors, and all, whoever else, builders. So if you're into real estate, well, if everybody want to sell the most land in it, and want to sell the most houses and this and that. So it's big business. So if you're in the circle there, them don't care about you. Because they could afford to, because they might make millions and millions and millions of selling passport and all this different stuff like that. Remember, one project alone is 5,500 passports. Well, sir, 5,000. That's half a Nevis gone. You see what I'm show you?
But Banky,
So all the money.
remember their mindset. Remember their mindset is different to our mindset, and this is why I'm saying when you look at
That's not what I mean. Mindset different. We're not blind. No, the mindset that is same. Because they could see people in
no,
denial. They make excuse the people.
no, Banky,
Okay.
watch it.
Okay. Let me say this then. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One project. So suppose the jail, wherever they say the prison, coming how much people getting in there, what the purpose of that? How much people getting in there? You understand? Unless you got plan like a lot of people to fill the car. You understand? So if you prison cars say 50 million a bill. But when you don't raise all them billions of dollars, all the rest money gone. How much? So you show you. So it means that your son, each citizen, I don't like to use the word citizen, because that's not a good one. Let me go back and we check the one there. Native. Because there's a difference between a native and a citizen. You have to distinguish that. Okay? We can't make a native and a citizen as equal, because it's not. So we got to distinguish the part here. Each native can get a $10 million, and they can get that for how we see it every 5 years. So if that's the case, well, you can give them $1 million every other year then. But what are they going to do with the money? Eat it? Are they going to spend it back in the economy? So what are they going to do with the money? Eat it? I just put them there and watch them. If you put them there not to you must spend it.
This is why,
with all the investment taking our money and put in Christoph Harbour and all these different entities and stuff like that, and people come here. And we're not benefiting the same. Virgin, these are common sense. Okay? And if our people are not thinking this way and realize resources belongs to us, we're supposed to got $200 million in an account for small business if you want to help your people. Where they have $500,000 up for grants, free grants, and all about that.
If you really want to help the people, if you really want to help the people, and that is the real key.
So that is not the intent? That was not the intent?
That is what they said. That is what they said. But
that's what the intent then.
When you inherit a sin that was not designed to produce what you say, but you still you choose to carry on that system, even though you know it is not designed, and you know that you could continue and play and prey on the minds and emotions of the people when necessary, and it works. Well, like they would say, if the glass is not broken, why try to fix it? So this is our reality. This is our reality, Banky, and this is why when you look at using agriculture again as an example, that's why we're saying their mindset is not our mindset. As long as they have money,
they don't eat.
Food security is not a problem, but they eat, but the boat is coming in, bringing in the food, and they have money, so it's not a problem.
So no poison up. So they're willingly poison up themselves too. All the smart.
And whoever is with it, yes, because in their minds, their minds, they have
That's
money,
funny.
they could
That's
buy
funny.
food.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
you
food
know you're
security
poisoning off
problem.
yourself. From you live here and you're a native of the soil of Oli and Liamega, you know. Ain't no place on earth that food produce better food than us. And who want ain't no place on earth produce a better honey than us, real honey. You can line them up, you can shut your eye
Banky,
and taste Nevis honey, say buy this a Nevis honey. That's just the reality. So and our people know this. So what you telling me? They know that every native
Banky,
know no place
that's
on earth food
true.
better than we want. They know that. So
That's
you're telling me
true. Yeah,
don't make an excuse
what
for
is true.
them.
But look, but look what is true. Look what is also true. Hear what is also true. As much
Uh-huh.
as you're saying all that, we still have $100 import bill. You're telling me it's common sense,
Yes,
and you're telling me
yes, it's common sense, but
all of
those
these
are
nice
choices.
things. $200
Yes,
million
yes, son.
import bill.
Because we have moved into selling
Ah,
land.
so you want to be
But
point?
and then the same people, the same land and real estate you gone into,
So
the same people
Banky,
they have to eat too. They gotta eat. Okay, if you support, if you're building
hold
for
on, hold
houses and
on.
hotels
That
for
said,
people, yes.
that is why I said earlier, that when you that they're supposed to be looking after the people, supposed to. But if they were looking after the people, when you mentioned the word, based on the kind of monies that they would have made, even through the CBA and all that, right? The person should have been able to get a $5 million, a $10 million, right? That will because when they empower everybody, then how these people, how they gonna have this to come vote? How they gonna get to give them a $500 and keep a little party and get them to vote for them? So, in order for the system that they inherited to work, they have to continue to have this upper class and lower class and have it structured in
Mm-hmm.
that and have the against divided. The system that has to work. It's not then the system break down. So then no, and that is one of the reasons to why I am convinced that they should continue to suppress agriculture as well, because they know that if the farmers are empowered, he part on the house and so on, and the farmer, you can't come to them and struggle about
You break up,
and
you chop up a
come
little
vote
bit.
for me.
You're
The farmer gonna be
you're chopping up, you're chopping up your son. You're chopping up a little bit. Go again.
yeah.
Verbal. So
You know,
it seemed like you had a little issue just a while
let
ago.
me
But go
make some
ahead and
just know.
yeah. But yes, on agriculture,
I
unless we see
think
agriculture as some kind of put it over, but he too don't think he get away. We can now he talking about agriculture is our salvation. He was in there for nearly a decade, over 2 decades. You understand? And so we're 30 years back because of all the government them. And still present because we have looked down on agriculture and all they do is just talk, and still talk. Because you're just not seeing the investment and the small factories with all the mangoes and all the different guavas we have around here and stuff like that. We're not seeing the push in these times where we shouldn't have FDA being here training our people how to get food shipped to the US and different and all this different stuff, leaves and because these are easy stuff, these are stuff just to pack because most of these agencies will come down here for free and train your people to do business with them. But at the same time, we have so much leaves around here. Every leaf that we have around here, knocking dog, is in New York and other states selling lemongrass, soursop, mango leaves. Just think about it. Seed under, wow wine. There's out there selling, and we have them here banging dog, and we're not even using them sometimes. The moringa, only when we right now, I mean, it's tea. I've been here sipping, and once you see me have this, it's tea. I'm sipping on either tea or water because these green teas full of phytochemicals, all the different compounds that keep your immune system strong and healthy. Not a lot of some of the juices them you tend to drink. Yes, son, you're gone? Are you there? You still there?
I
Yes,
should be,
son.
but I'm having some little issue. Okay, so no, I gone then.
Uh,
Okay. Technically, my phone was starting. I don't know what's going on here with this, but
well, I'm
okay.
going vibes until you come back through.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
I'm gonna restart and set myself.
yes, we have the moringa tree. Would have 4 times the amount of calcium, potassium, iron, zinc, all these different type of nutrients. You know what I mean? And we're not using these things as we should. And moringa itself is almost a $6 to $10 billion industry, and we will say we have things, but if we're not using them, then it don't make no sense. You see, a lot of this stuff that harming us is what we're eating, and everything should be done in moderation. So I want to say big up to Miss Jones over there in New York. I mean, had a conversation with her last night. She told me she's a backyard gardener. I said, what? I was happy. I said that was good. I was surprised. I didn't know you have so much backyard gardeners from Nevis over there in New York City and other parts of the United States doing the gardening and stuff like that. So I'm really happy to know that there are people out there doing their gardening and stuff like that. And they do listen to the show. You really don't know listen to the show and stuff like that. So we really appreciate everyone who out there in New York and Boston and around the world who choose to listen the topics and everything agriculture show. You really appreciate that, and continue planting your food, growing your mints, growing your tomatoes, your watermelon, your squash, your pumpkin, and everything, because you know what you grow is you grow it, is your energy, is your vibration. So the food must taste better, everything, and that is the right thing. Cause your money can't eat, Your money can't eat, and if you want to if you want to be trusting your politicians and them who you see just talking, and if you dance now, can't pay for the ledge, it make no sense. Somebody canning you. In this, anybody's supposed to be fooling anybody. You know what I'm saying? And you must hold people accountable. This Thursday and Friday is the agriculture fair expo, which is known from change from fair to expo at the El Comedia Willett Park. It start from Thursday to Friday. Well, let me go back to the abattoir. Well, I don't spoke to Mr. Griffin. Gary said he will have 2 different new products on the menu, which will be lamb sausage. So you all know lamb sausage, and roasted chicken rolls. So it's lamb sausage and roasted chicken rolls. So those are the new, along with everything else. Is just like practically he said he's like moving the abattoir down in the park. So whatever you want, debone bullhead, debone pig head, debone goat or sheep head, there. Tripes, pig foot, whatever it is, will be there. Once he done set up, he should be ready to start sell for 6:30. The event now start 10 o'clock, but Gary will sell 6:30. Gary now turn back in the body. And that's what it's all about. That's what I love about the abattoir, because most areas they wait till after the ceremony and stuff like that, then which you lose a lot of sales and stuff like that. So they should start when first come, first serve. That's it. They sell the stuff on them. And that's what it should be. So Gary say he ready. So come on out. You have your mutton, you have your beef, you have all the patties, whatever you want. Rotisserie chicken, he ready. You understand? And for him to set up to do all that is less than 5 weeks, and he get all this stuff together. So you got to big up Mr. Griffin. Somebody like Gary need to get every month get a a 50% bonus on his check. I have many now don't work on this and just get increments for failures. I don't understand this crazy. Yes, son. The way forward is accountability. You understand? Got to also big up the young extension staff. Them, Brandon Frederick, I know he's supposed to have bringing in some onion from over at Patworks. I'm not sure what else they have over there, if any pumpkin or any melon, but usually he'll go for crops, and over in New River they usually go some we call it over there. Well, some of them plant melon, but mostly they'll plant carrots on the New Riverside area. Indian Castle, nada. Next year around, the second time around, nothing coming out of down there. Not even, I must say, I will get just grass, but nothing coming out of Indian Castle. All the other estates, Prospect, bringing out stuff, but nothing is coming out of Indian Castle. And I don't know how the ministers and the cabinet feel about these things. And definitely, yes, it's not a good sign where you're encouraging people for failure. The minister himself and they're still going to start give increments as of April 1st and forward. So I would like to know what increments will be given to the minister himself of agriculture, along with the manager at Indian Castle and the workers down there, cars. It's all failures. This two agriculture expo where nothing coming out of Indian Castle, and throughout the whole year ain't nothing produced either. So what is, matter of fact, is yesterday someone called me and tell me they went nowhere past it to look some sand and stone, and they nearly went off the road because they were all the trees along there dead. Because they actually look whatever they must see, cars them always don't know the place is always in bloom, but now it's total different. But they'll figure it out. You understand? They went to good school, your son. So that's the most we could say about that.
But
So once you got
as
good school,
you said about as you
yes,
no, as you said, a card, and this is something that I guess and I can say that I have begun to not necessarily address the politicians as I want to address my people, because I think something is definitely wrong with my people, because it is up to my people and our people to hold these people accountable. That
accountable,
is what you
definitely.
are supposed to do. So here's my thing. For example, the reason why I'm talking about accountability in the budget this year, the government would have said that in the first quarter they would have started phase 2 for the Indian Castle project. We have
Mm-hmm.
not seen any movement on that. They would have said that in the first quarter as well, around the first quarter, they would have started the airport project. Not seen anything on that. They would have said also in the first quarter, they would have begun renovating the hospital. But seemingly, because we live in a society, in some cases, like in Jamaica, it's 7 9 and 9 night. We after 7 or 9 days, people just forget about whatever. So in the house and they say these things, knowing that a couple of days after, people don't forget about that, and nobody is going to hold them accountable 3 months after to remember to see. But you did say that you were going to do these things. How come these things have been accomplished? And we are not doing much of that because, again, it comes down to saying the politicians are using the system that was designed for us. And a part of that is to have two parties or more, keeping the people divided. And so they find all kind of little petty things to keep the people divided. And even on issues that the people should unite on, they find to be divided on and or don't say nothing because it may affect, they feel like it may offend their party, or it may offend their representative, so to speak. So as a result, um, they see the injustice and they just allow it because, okay. And so that is what, and or they would not be the ones who would, like doing now, well, hold them accountable. You said you were going to do this. Well, why are you in it? What is the response? And so that's one of the issues. I don't know what else when I was out. And I heard you talk about the agriculture fair and that, and Gary
Yes.
and all that when I came back. as we're talking about accountability and so on, right? One of the topics that I want to bring on the table, and it kind of fits into what I was just about in the sense of seeing things happening, but maybe because it's your party, um, you find it convenient to not say anything. So this is that I think I'm some lash from Nevisions for bringing the issue for and seeing it the way that I am to address it. But to me, at the end of the day, the fact and the reality is for me is that I'm really curious as a national, as a native, as you pointed out. I am very curious as a native as to how this is allowed for so long, and if nothing could have been done, and if nothing still could not be done, and if so, why not? Right? And I'm going to also premise this by saying that in relation to what I am going to say, if it was another party who did it, if it was a coalition of governments who did it, I would have still have the same questions, right? And so let me begin now. Now, the issue that I want to address is the fair share issue, right? Because